And we are live. A quick little shit live stream, just a solo one. Maybe we'll go for about an hour, something like that, not too long. Just talk about some boxing. Nothing too serious, nothing too strenuous. Just a quick one, really. You guys know how it is. No planning, no nothing. Just we'll talk some boxing. And yeah, man, have a good time and all that shit. But yeah, man, interesting weekend of boxing. Postal Ramirez, I thought that was quite a good fight, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. Tactical affair, but I didn't score that fight round by round. I have to say that. But when you look at a fight, I usually get like an inkling of who won that fight. Me personally, I felt Postal did just enough. He did enough to nick it, in my opinion. I felt he won it, but I need to go back and score that fight round by round. To be honest, it was close, but I felt Postal was the guy controlling the real estate. He was the guy kind of controlling the distance for the most part. And yeah, I felt he did enough to win the fight, in my opinion. But it is what it is. It seemed quite close. What can we do? What can we do? But yeah, ABC Death in the house. Big up to ABC. Intangible Boxing News. Check out Intangible's channel. He's got a channel himself. Check out Intangible. Brandon Blanco. Big up to Brandon. Corruption in Boxing. Big up to you, Corruption, man. I always enjoy when you're on BDA. So big up to Corruption. Pool123. G-Man Boxing. Another guy with a channel based out of Ireland. G-Man Boxing. Really good channel. Yeah, man. Big up to all you guys. Big up to all you guys, man. But yeah, interesting weekend. I did enjoy the main event, though. I did enjoy Ramirez Postal. I saw a few people say it was a boring fight. I quite enjoyed it, I have to say. I quite enjoyed it. I do need to go back and score it, though. I do. I need to go back and score it. But what I will say is this. Victor Postal, at 36 years old, I think he's got one more run in him, to be honest. He looked very fresh at 36. His legs looked really good. He was moving well. I loved how he was varying the jab from body to head. He looked quite good, in my opinion. He boxed a really good fight. I was unsure of what he had left going into this fight. And he proved to me he's still certainly a top 10 fighter in that weight class. I would like to see Postal fight maybe the Baranchik Zepeda winner. I think that'd be a good fight. Maybe Postal versus Prograis. I think that'd be a good fight. All of these sort of fights I'll be happy with, to be honest. Yeah, big up to Justin. Justin Marcial. Hopefully you're doing well, man. Hopefully you're doing well. Intangible, he says, I can't say Postal Ramirez was a robbery, but I feel like Postal accomplished his game plan on a higher level as opposed to Ramirez. He says 116, 113. Yeah, 116, 113 to Postal. Yeah, I agree with your sentiment where you say you felt that Postal accomplished his game plan on a higher level opposed to Ramirez. Yeah, I agree. That's how I kind of saw it. I felt the fight was being fought at his range more so than Ramirez's. For the most part, Ramirez definitely had success. He definitely won plenty of rounds, but I personally felt Postal edged it. It wasn't interesting. It was an interesting fight, though. I felt it was quite interesting. One thing I would say with Postal, I wish he stepped on the gas a little earlier, because when he was loading up with his right hand late on in the fight, he was catching Ramirez with some really good shots. And while he was never hurting Ramirez, he was certainly stopping him in his tracks, kind of thing. So yeah, maybe Postal could have been a bit more authoritative earlier on. Maybe that was a mistake. But yeah, for the most part, I felt he boxed a really good fight. I've got to say, I felt he boxed a really good fight. And by the way, credit to Terence Crawford. I mean, Postal gave Taylor and Ramirez really hard fights. Crawford kind of just breezed that fight, to be honest. He really did. He really did. Justin, he had it 9 rounds to 3 for Postal. Damn. Yeah, I need to go back and score it, Justin, to be honest. I need to go back and score it. Big up to World Ranked. He says, do you think Catterall versus Ramirez happens next? I hope not, World Ranked. I hope we see Ramirez fight the winner of Taylor Konsong for the Undisputed. And then after that, hopefully Catterall gets his chance. But yeah, not right now. I don't want it to happen right now, to be honest. Just my opinion, though. Just my opinion. Yeah, Postal. Yeah, intangible. He says Postal. I think loses to Baranchik, but the Sapida fight is very tricky. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Big up to Jim McDonald Boxing. Man like Jim McDonald. Hopefully you're doing well, brother. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, I agree, ABC. I agree. I agree. I like Jack Catterall. I think he's a good fighter. He's certainly above domestic level in the UK. I think he's proven that. I think he's a good European level fighter, but I would like to see him fight somebody in the top 10 before he fights for a world title. I know he's mandatory, I get that, but I'm not really convinced by Jack Catterall at a high level. He's a good fighter, he's a good boxer, but at a certain level, European level, I want to see him fight a top 10 guy personally. But yeah, he can wait for his shot. We want to see undisputed Taylor Ramirez, providing Taylor beats Konsong. That's the fight that needs to happen, in my opinion. You know, that'd be a great fan-friendly fight as well. You know, both guys, in my opinion, are best on the inside. Both guys are fairly aggressive. It's going to be a great fight to watch. You know, from like a fan perspective, and it's undisputed. So that's the fight to make, in my opinion. But I will say this: Josh Taylor against Konsong, the fighter from Thailand. I have seen a bit of Konsong, and he's very limited. But, you know, fighters from that part of the world usually are very durable. They're usually very tough. And Konsong can definitely punch. He knocked out Kondo, who gave Lipinets some real problems. And Konsong knocked him out. So he can certainly punch. He's more than likely durable. So Josh Taylor needs to be careful in that fight. You know, we've seen a couple of upsets already, like John O'Carroll versus Maxie Hughes. That was an upset. I guess Povetkin White was a minor upset, not in my opinion, but to a lot of people it was. So Taylor needs to be careful in his next fight. Providing he gets through that, Ramirez Taylor, that's the only fight to make at 140. The only fight. Yeah, Justin. Yeah, Justin. If maybe after Taylor Ramirez, a rematch between Postal and Ramirez, I take that. I'll definitely take that. Okay, you had Postal winning Jim McDonald. Yeah, I wasn't scoring it, to be fair. Hang on 1 second. Let me just close these tabs. 1 second. There you go. Sorry about that. Right, put myself on mute. What a mug. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so Jim McDonald, he had Postal winning. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I felt Postal just about nicked it, but it was what it was, man. It was what it was. Crazy D3, he says Ramirez still looks very rudimentary for a unified champion. Do you think Robert Garcia is an overrated trainer? I don't think so. I think that was a style clash issue, to be honest. I mean, we saw Jose Ramirez really struggle with the southpaw Jose Zepeda. You know, a guy who could kind of dictate range, mess him around. You know, he struggled. He struggled in that fight as well. I think Ramirez is always going to struggle against guys who have a good understanding of range, who can keep it on the outside. He's always going to struggle with that style, to be honest. I think that's just one of his limitations, in my opinion. So, in this fight, I picked Ramirez to win in a competitive decision. I guess that's what happened, but I expected him to win like a legitimate, clear decision. But yeah, one of those things, man. One of those things. Yes, Jim McDonald. Yep. What about Tim Zhu? I'm a fanboy, so I am. He won me a nice lump midweek. Yeah, Tim Zhu looks really good against Jeff Horn. The most impressive aspect of Tim Zhu's performance, in my opinion, was how he handled Jeff Horn physically in the clinch. You know, Jeff Horn is a really tough, rugged guy who really imposes himself on you. Tim Zhu, in my opinion, Tim Tszyu not only was boxing better, but he was manhandling Jeff Horn in the clinch. You know, he did a really good job of neutralizing Jeff Horn in that regard. And when he wasn't doing that, he was boxing really well, timing him with a right hand, coming in, you know, just boxing him up. It was a really good performance. The body work was great. Tim Tszyu is he's definitely improved. I've seen this guy from very early on in his career, and he's definitely got better. When he first turned pro, I'll be honest, I really wasn't all that impressed. But as I kept on watching him, I could see gradual signs of improvement. And I think we saw that in the Jeff Horn fight. I thought he looked really good at times. He looked really good. You know, considering that was what his 16th fight, 15th fight? To do that against Jeff Horn is pretty impressive. You know, in my opinion, at least. In my opinion. Where were we? Yes, corruption in boxing. Ramirez has two fundamental limitations. One, inability to overcome fighters who maintain distance and range and counterpunches. I totally agree. We saw that in regards to the range. Obviously, the Postol fight was the most obvious example. But Zepeda, you know, a good tricky southpaw counterpuncher, again, you know, struggling in that sort of scenario. So I totally agree. Whereas Josh Taylor, he doesn't really bring those same attributes. I know he's a big guy for 140. He's quite long. He could play that game, but Josh Taylor really gets dragged into wars. So I think Ramirez, if you're basing Ramirez's chances based on his performance against Postol, against Taylor, I wouldn't really take it into account all that much, to be honest. I really wouldn't. I feel the same way about that fight I did before that Postol fight. I kind of lean towards Taylor. I make him a favourite. I think he'll win, but I expect it to be a very tough fight. I think he'll grind out a decision and beat Ramirez, but I think it'll be tough. I really do. I think it'll be tough. But it's definitely a good fight. I can't see it being a dull fight. I really can't. Jim McDonald, he's saying he's the real Jim McDonald. Yes, sir. Big up to Jim. Big up to Jim. Yeah, Justin, 100%, man. Taylor versus Ramirez, the fight to make. It's a shame if that fight happens this year. It's a shame there's going to be no fans. You know, it's a shame, but these fights need to happen. You know, boxing needs to move on. We need to learn from other sports, and we need to get these big fights on regardless of what's going on right now. We need to get these fights on, and that's one of those fights we need to see, providing Taylor wins his next fight. Yeah, Max Kuckerman, I was very impressed with Victor Postol. I thought he boxed a really good fight. I was very impressed with how he was moving, how he was, you know, maneuvering the ring. He looked really good. His legs looked really good. I was really surprised with that. His jab at times was excellent. The straight right hand, especially down the stretch, very effective. I wish he mixed up with that left uppercut a bit earlier, to be honest, because Ramirez is open for that shot. You know, he comes in, doesn't really move his head all that often. Certainly not in the Postol fight. His head was on center line. I wish Postol, you know, kind of utilized that left uppercut a little bit more, to be honest. We've seen Postol knock out Selçuk Aydin with that same shot. So yeah, I wish he mixed it up a bit more, Postol, but yeah, he boxed a really good fight. I thought he boxed a really good fight. Really impressed actually with Postol. Intangible boxing news, big up to Intangible again. Ramirez needs to be more patient instead of rushing his way into his attack. He takes bad angles and doesn't use his jab on the way in. He tried fighting Postol the way he fought Hooker. Yeah, I agree, Intangible. When Ramirez was actually jabbing his way in and actually using the double jab, he was actually getting in quite effectively. But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't doing it anywhere near enough, you know. He was kind of following Postol about, you know, getting picked off with the jab. He wasn't doing it on a regular basis. When he did actually jab his way in, it was quite effective. You know, he was rocking the head back of Postol when he did that, but just not enough for me. Not enough, you know. But yeah, big up to Paul123. He says, "Can you think of a fighter you were so sure would become a world champion who didn't?" Oh, that's a good question. A fighter who I was sure would become a world champion that didn't. That's an interesting one, you know. That's an interesting one. A fighter who I would... of back to become a world champion that didn't. I'm trying to think, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I'll have to think about that one. Have to think about that one. Trying to think. Fighters who I thought would become world champions but didn't. I'm not sure. I'd have to actually think about that one. That's a good video topic, actually, Paul. That's a good video topic right there. Fighters who you was backing from early that never really panned out. Max, he says Andrea Ward was giving Postal rounds because Postal was outboxing Ramirez, like Kovalev outboxed Tim. Yeah, that jab was very effective, Max. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, Justin, yeah, it was good to see Freddie Roach back in the corner. It was good to see him back in the corner. He was coaching Postal, wasn't he? Freddie Roach. I thought, yeah, he looked really good, to be fair, Postal. So credit to Freddie Roach, I guess. Yo, D. That main event, Daniel Dubois versus was his name Ricardo Schneiders, was an absolute embarrassment. Schneiders was a cruiserweight coming up. I was debating doing a post-fight review for that fight, but I would have just got wound up and started talking shit, so I never did it. But yeah, that fight was an embarrassment. Sonny Edwards versus Asomba was pretty dull, to be honest. Sam Maxwell, Joe Hughes was pretty good, but yeah, that card for me really wasn't up to it, to be honest, from Frank. He needs to really improve on that. The next card he's got coming up is pretty good. The main event is shit. I've got to say that. Anthony Yard versus Dex Spellman, that's pretty garbage. But Mark Heffron versus Denzel Bentley, that's a really, really good fight. Nathan Gorman versus Latte, that's a good fight as well. So yeah, that card's okay, but this card this weekend, was shit. It was absolute shit. It has to be said. It has to be said, But yeah, one of those things, man. World ranked. What would you say if somebody said Ramirez Taylor winner unified run was better than Crawford's run? To be honest, if we're looking at, like, let's say Josh Taylor, for example, let's say he beats Ramirez, I think his run at 140 would be better than Crawford's. However, would I pick Josh Taylor to beat Crawford if he moved up to 147? I wouldn't personally. So it's one of those things. I think Taylor's run would be, or Ramirez's for that matter, would be more impressive. But do I think they've got the same ability to go to 147 and have success? Maybe not. I'm not sure. But yeah, I would say their run would be better, to be honest. I would. Justin Marcial, he says Tim Tszyu's going to be a problem at 154. Yeah, he's definitely improved. I've seen, like I said earlier, I've seen the guy since like pretty much his first or second fight. And like I said, when he first turned pro, I really wasn't impressed. But, as the fights have gone on, he's got better and better and better. He's just beat up Jeff Horn, which is a pretty good scalp at 16-0. Yeah, I think he's definitely an interesting prospect at 154. He really is. I think he's a good prospect. I'd like to see him fight Michael Zarafa next, to be honest. I think that'd be a decent fight for him. Yeah, big up the Troll Network. Yeah, man, smash the like, lads, as well, by the way. Be much appreciated. Yeah, that is true, D. I've not really rated Horn like that, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like a guy who's like a young prospect coming up, 15 fights, I think it's a pretty good scalp, as all things considered. I think it's a pretty good scalp. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on Tim Tszyu a bit more closely now. Definitely a good prospect. He fights like his dad, there's no doubt about it. Very composed, behind back jab, looks for the straight right hand. He does fight like his dad. Not as much power, though. That could hold him back. The whole power thing, doesn't hit as hard as his dad. That much is for certain. But he's a pretty good fighter. He's a pretty good fighter. Yeah, Justin, that's a good shout, you know. Tim Zhu versus Liam Smith. That'd be a good fight. Or Tim Zhu versus Hurd or Lubin, sorry. Yeah, I think Liam Smith would be a good fight. Jarrett Hurd could be a bit too far, and same as Lubin. But yeah, I'd watch all of those fights, Justin. I'd watch all of those fights. If I was managing him, I would say Zerafa next, and then maybe try to go for the WBO if Patrick Teixeira still has it. That's how I would take him personally. But yeah. Intangible, he says, Victor Postal sort of fought Josh Taylor in the pocket, trying to stand his ground with his jab, and thus it was easier to get inside on him. Postal was moving around versus Ramirez from the get-go. Yeah, I agree, Intangible. And yeah, and I actually thought Postal was giving Taylor some issues on the inside. Postal can fight on the inside to a point. He's not a great inside fighter, you know, but he's competent enough where he can trade up close. He's got a really mean left uppercut. You know, he can tie you up. He can neutralize you. He can fight on the inside to a point, you know. Because I heard Andre Ward say that Postal couldn't fight on the inside at all. I thought that was wrong personally, but there we go. Just my opinion, I guess. I think he can, Justin, I definitely think he can beat Teixeira, to be honest. Erislandy Lara, he's a weird one. I mean, I watched some highlights of Lara from that bright. Well, who did he fight last? Greg Vendetti last night or Saturday night? Sorry, he fought Greg Vendetti, and I heard he didn't look very good at all. So maybe I think Lara now is on the decline, unfortunately. But yeah, maybe I wouldn't put him in with Lara just yet. Personally, I would leave that one alone. I would leave Lara alone for a couple of fights at least. I really would. But I do think he's definitely declining. You know, I liked Lara back in the day. I thought he was, I always thought he was a very good boxer and nowhere near as boring as people made out personally. But yeah, I think Lara's definitely going downhill now. I really do. I think Lara's going downhill. Yeah, that's true, D. Yeah, that's the thing here. That's the thing. I said it earlier in the stream. How that win for Bud Crawford is looking a lot better now because Bud basically he neutralized Postal and made him, you know, he dominated that fight basically. And yeah, look at Postal. He basically gave Josh Taylor a really hard fight, and arguably he beat Ramirez. Now I know, you know, style clashes and all that sort of stuff. That much is true, but you know, the fact that Crawford just basically washed this guy was very impressive. Because for me, I've said this for time now, Postal is Crawford's best win. I still maintain that even now. Clearly his best win, in my opinion. Clearly. Yeah, he boxed well, man. He boxed well. No doubt, no doubt. Boxed really well. Yeah, we somebody in the chat mentioned that earlier, Nathan. Postal versus the Baranchik Zepeda winner. That's a good fight. It's a really good fight. But I can't see anybody fighting Postal if there's nothing on the line, you know? He's high risk, low rewards. If you beat him, well, he beat a 36-year-old coming off a loss. And, you know, if you don't look good, people are going to moan. And he's dangerous. He's dangerous. He's not a big name. I think Postal is going to struggle to get fights based on that performance. I really do. I think he's going to struggle to get fights. Which is a shame, to be honest. Overhand, he says Teixeira takes Zhu to school. I'm not sure, Overhand. I've never been all that sold on Teixeira. He looked good against Charles Adames, but that's one fight, man. I need to see a bit more. I need to see a bit more, man. Winky Wright at middleweight. Was that for the world champion question? Yeah, but Winky Wright was a champion, though. That's the only thing, though. I think the guy meant like boxers who never became a champion, full stop. So Matt Korobov's a good shout, D. That's a good shout. Because Matt Korobov turning pro had a lot of hype. He had a great amateur record, very skilled boxer. Well, I think we've seen he's a very skilled boxer in certain fights, but he's never really put it all together, Matt Korobov. That's a good shout. That's a really good shout, actually, Matt Korobov. Ismail, oh, yo, D, I remember that one. Ismail Shalik, yeah. Yep. He was he Russian or Ukrainian? I forget, but yeah. I remember Salik, yeah. Kovalev knocked him out. Yeah. Chael Sonnen in the UFC. Yeah, Chael Sonnen, master trash talker. I agree. Yes, AA boxing and blunts. Catterall best step aside now. Facts. Yep, 100% agree. 100% agree. DLB Inui, he says Winky wasn't really big enough for middleweight. I agree. I used to love Winky's style though. Winky Wright was one of those guys who made boxing look easy. You know, he never had like an extravagant style per se, like a high guard. He could kind of turn into a Philly shell. Did the basics very well, and he went a long way, man. He was very avoided for a long time. Winky Wright was a great boxer. If I was like a 15-year-old kid going into the gym for the first time, that's who I would look at studying from. Guys like Winky Wright, you know, a master of the basics. And he made it go a long, long way. He was a very good fighter, Winky Wright. Excellent fighter. In my opinion, doesn't get enough credit for what he did, but just my opinion. I liked his style, Winky Wright. I really did. I really did. Yeah, Nathan, I agree. They're the sort of fights I'm looking for. Yeah, I agree with all of those points. Yeah. Maybe Zarafa next, then the likes of Teixeira, Castano. I agree. Yeah, G-Man. Yeah, I 100% agree. Frank Warren shows are getting worse and worse. Yeah, the next one's pretty good, though. I'll give him that, but he needs to really step it up right now. He needs to step it up. I mean, Dubois versus Schneiders, Wesley Schneider. I mean, come on now. Did I say Wesley? I meant Ricardo Schneiders. That's how bad it was. You know? I mean, the guy had no business in there with Dubois. That's a wasted training camp. I mean, Dubois, yeah, he could have not trained throughout the whole of lockdown and still blasted that guy out of there in a couple of rounds. That's the reality, you know? Schneiders, no power. He was a cruiserweight, scared to death. What did Dubois learn from that? Absolutely nothing. All that is stat padding, record padding. That's all it is. That's all it is. And does that prepare him for a Joe Joyce fight? I'm not sure, man. I don't think so. I don't think so, man. Yo, I am so far fucking behind. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me, man? Jesus Christ. Yeah. I agree, Nathan. That was the only good fight. Maxwell versus Hughes. Yep, the only good fight on that card. The only good fight. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, Brandon Blanco. The PBC card was terrible as well. Yep. I mean, Angulo got beat. He got beat by Vladimir Hernandez. Lara looked like shit, apparently. I've not seen that fight yet, so I've only seen highlights. But yeah, apparently he looked like shit. So yeah, best card of the weekend definitely went to Top Rank. Definitely. Jim McDonald Boxing, he said he would have put Schneiders to sleep round the back of a Rovers with 18-ounce pillows, so I would. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he wasn't any good, was he? He really wasn't. Yep, I agree, Justin. I mean, hopefully that Joe Joyce fight happens next. Hopefully it happens October 24th. I have my doubts, to be honest. I could see that fight getting pushed back. I really could. I think Frank desperately wants a crowd there because he knows he can't make money on pay-per-view. He needs that live gate money as well. If he gets some sort of live gate, maybe he can get that through. But right now, that fight is not happening without a crowd. It's not. I mean, these guys, anybody from the UK will attest to this. None of these guys are household names in the UK. None of them. Dubois gets a lot of hype in the boxing world, but nobody knows who this guy is in the UK. Nobody knows who Joe Joyce is in the UK. In a casual sense, nobody knows. That's the truth. On pay-per-view, even pre-pandemic, as good as the fight was, I couldn't see this fight doing great numbers. I really couldn't. Neither guy is especially entertaining. Both guys are quiet. Neither guy has a big profile. So yeah, they need a crowd. It's not going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back. I really wouldn't. I could see that happening. Look at me, man, sitting here getting fucking left behind in the comments. What's wrong with me, man? Jesus Christ. Matchroom boxing is soon becoming the PBC. Yeah, Matchroom are slacking on a couple of things, you know. I mean, there's certain fights from Matchroom I really want to see, and we're not hearing anything about them. I mean, Billy Joe and Callum Smith, both of these guys have been with Matchroom Well, Billy Joe signed about a year and a half ago, whenever it was. Why is Billy Joe versus Callum Smith not happened? Why has it not been signed? Why is Buatsi versus Callum Johnson not happened? There's so many in-house fights at Matchroom that are kind of being held back right now. I always go back to it. Eddie Hearn, when he was kind of shitting on Anthony Yard, he was saying Anthony Yard was fighting nobodies and he should fight his domestic rivals like Hosea Burton, who Eddie Hearn promoted at the time. He was saying all of that about Anthony Yard, and yet here we are with Joshua Buatsi. Is he fighting Callum Johnson? Anybody like that? No. I mean, come on now. And by the way, I want to see that fight as well. Anthony Yard, Joshua Buatsi. That fight needs to happen, bro. That fight needs to happen. That's a great fight. Put that fight, once we're out of the pandemic, O2 Arena, Yard versus Buatsi. That's a great fucking fight. That's a great fight. Can you imagine that fight? That'd be an amazing fight, man. I love that fight. I like both guys as well. You know, I've always liked Buatsi, but Anthony Yard's grown on me as a fighter. You know, basically pre-Kovalev, I was impressed with what I saw in terms of, you know, toughness, heart, things like that. So I want to see Yard versus Buatsi real soon. We're not going to get it though, are we? Let's be honest. We ain't going to get it. This is boxing, you know. Good fights that make sense don't usually happen. But what can we do, man? Oh, yeah, Sonny Edwards. He should have had, Sonny Edwards should have been disqualified for that hairstyle alone. I was cheering for Thomas Asomba as soon as I saw that mug with that haircut, man. Absolute disgrace. Sonny Edwards, man. Absolute disgrace. What's he thinking of, man? Damn, D, he liked the Sonny fight most out of the whole card last night. I liked the Maxwell fight most, to be honest. To be fair, though, D, that's the only fight I've seen. The rest of them have been highlights, so I can't really talk shit. But yeah, I liked the Maxwell fight. I don't like fucking Sonny Edwards, you know. Something about that guy winds me up. Every time I see that guy fight, I want to see him lose. Something about that kid, man, just winds me up. Don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. I think he'll come unstuck though at world level. Even before that, to be honest, he'll come unstuck. Doesn't hit hard enough. Not physically strong enough, in my opinion. Yeah, I'll keep on seeing about this, Nathan. So Fedor Chudinov versus Umar Sadiq in Russia next week. So yeah, you assume the Lerone Richards fight isn't happening now. Yeah, that's a big fucking step up for Umar Sadiq, to be honest. I mean, Umar Sadiq, what? His best win is Cody Davis, who was like an unproven prospect, maybe like a English level, Welsh level fighter. He's from Wales, so yeah, Welsh level fighter. I mean, that's a big ask. Going to Russia against a former world champion, big ask. I'm rooting for Umar Sadiq because I like the guy. I follow him on social media. He's all right, but yeah, I'm rooting for him, but I can't see him pulling it off. To be honest, I really can't. I really can't. Justin Marcial, thoughts on Crawford versus Brook? I mean, it is what it is. It's probably the best we can get right now for Crawford, so I've got no real complaints, to be honest. I mean, how good is Kell Brook going to be? I'm not really sure. I mean, the guy's not made weight. Well, he's not made welterweight in 3 years, so I'm not really expecting Kell Brook to be anything close to his best. But, you know, considering Crawford's options right now, am I complaining? Not really. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Again, in an ideal world, we would have Crawford versus Spence or Crawford Pacquiao, you know, Crawford Porter, all of these sort of fights. But none of these fights are close to happening, unfortunately. But what can we do, man? What can we do? AA Boxing and Blunts, intangible, don't judge a fighter by his hairstyle. That's wrong. That is wrong, AA Boxing and Blunts. That's totally wrong. We could judge Chavez Jr. by his hairstyle against Danny Jacobs. We knew he was going to get his ass whooped when he came out with that fucking hairstyle, man. We knew. We knew, man. We knew. Copend09, is Tank struggling to make weight? To be honest with you, Copend, I've not really been looking at his pre-fight training videos. I've not been looking at it, to be honest. My whole theory on that fight between Leo Santa Cruz and Tank was the reason they made that fight for both belts, 130 and 135, was basically a contingency plan should Tank fail to make weight. That was my theory. Could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make weight. Really wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Nathan, I agree. Maxwell, yeah, he boxed really well. In my opinion, he boxed quite well. I thought he could get beat in that fight based on his last performance against that French dude. I thought he could get beat, but yeah, he pulled it out. I mean, Joe Hughes. I mean, he's a former European champion, so decent win, decent win. Yo, big up to Apology, man. Nice to see you here, brother. Hopefully you're doing well, mate. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, D, yeah. I've heard about this as well, mate, about Umar Sadiq fighting in Russia. Yeah, tough ask. I like Umar Sadiq, actually. Think he's a good fighter, but I can't see him winning that fight. I'll be honest. I can't see him winning it. Too much too soon. Mind you, though, mind you, I think the guy's like 32 years old, so why not roll the dice? You know, if you get that win, I'm sure you become highly ranked. Why not? I guess it's a risk worth taking for Umar Sadiq. I guess it's a risk worth taking kind of thing. But oh shit, Coppin '09. I've not seen the Marco Hook fight, but apparently Dennis Lewandowski looked like an absolute state. Apparently he was like 315 pounds, something like that. So yeah, that's what I would say, D. I would say Umar got offered more money. It's a better opportunity as well. Let's be honest. I mean, if Umar beats Chudinov, that's a much better win than Lerone Richards right now. Anyway, Richards could go on to become a really good fighter, but right now, a win over a former world champion looks a lot better on your resume. It's a bargaining chip. You're gonna get highly ranked. So I see why Umar's done it. To be honest, I see why he's done it. I just don't think he can win it. Yeah, apology, man. He says Top Rank and Bradley's commentary is getting worse and worse. It was okay at the beginning, but now it's bad. Yeah, yeah. The thing is, yeah, like I've said this numerous times about the commentary in boxing. I think as a whole, commentary in boxing is at a real low right now. You know, I always moan about Sky Sports in the UK because that's what I'm basically most exposed to. But yeah, I was watching the Postal Ramirez fight on a replay on YouTube, and the commentary was appalling, in my opinion. It just seems like an absolute mess with Top Rank, you know, with ESPN. The commentary seems like a mess. Uh, Andre Ward is really hit and miss for me, and Tim Bradley. Yeah, I love Tim Bradley as a fighter, but he's not a good commentator, guys. He's not. He really isn't. Just my opinion, but yeah, ESPN need to change a couple of things. They really do need to change a couple of things. Yeah, big up to St. Brit Sports, man. Nice of you to drop by, brother. Nice of you to drop by. Yeah, Lara's on the slide. Lara's definitely on the slide, Jim. Good fighter, though, man. Good fighter back in the day. Oh, yeah, Angulo needs to retire. Yeah, 100% overhand. He should have really retired, I mean, a little while ago because that guy, yeah, when you watch that guy fight, it's like you fucking press rewind on your TV. The guy's that slow. Honestly, I could. By the time he throws a right hand, yeah, I could go to the kitchen, make a coffee, roll a fucking blunt, come back, and it's not even landed. Do you know what I mean? Crazy. But yeah, he should definitely retire, Angulo. He's taken a lot of punishment. He really has taken a lot of punishment. Tough old guy, but yeah, he's done now. He's done. Been done for a long time. Yeah, yeah, I did see that actually, Nathan. Arnold Barboza. Yeah, he fought Tony Luis on the undercard. Looked pretty good. I agree as well. Barboza versus Saucedo. That's going to be a good fight. Yeah, going to be on the Lomachenko Lopez card. Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, Barboza Jr. is a pretty good fighter. I've seen him a few times on Top Rank undercards. He's always like looked quite good. He's looked pretty decent. Good legs, decent hand speed. Not the biggest puncher, but he looks okay. He looks okay. I think he's going to be one of those guys who gets a title shot, probably doesn't win it, but he's a decent fighter. He's a decent fighter. Yeah, I agree. World ranked. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I felt Winky Wright beat Jermaine Taylor as well. Glad you said that. Yeah. Yo, how far am I behind, man? How far am I behind? Oh yeah, Joe Tessitore. Yeah, that guy as well, man. That guy's whack. Yeah, Joe Tessitore's terrible, bro. He's terrible. Yo, I'm so far behind, you know. What's wrong with me, man? Jesus Christ. I'm so far behind, lads. If I miss people out, man, I do apologize. I really do. But I'm being a fucking mong right now, to be honest. D, he says, I've never seen the hype about Tank. He's explosive, but he's lazy and not a good boxer. I've kind of always been in the middle with Tank. I mean, Tank Davis has a lot of raw potential. He's explosive. He hits hard. He's quick. If he had his head screwed on right and had the right trainer, I think he could become a really, really, really good fighter. But, you know, his attitude, his discipline, eventually is going to be his undoing. He does have certain like deficiencies in his game as well, which could get exposed. But it's his mindset, really. His mindset is all wrong, in my opinion. And I think he will get exposed in the end. I don't think Leo Santa Cruz is the guy to do it. I think he's not strong enough, in my opinion. I think he's going to get blasted out. But eventually, yeah, Tank's going to come unstuck. And yeah, we could see Broner 2.0 with Tank Davis, in my opinion. Broner 2.0. Which is a shame because I think he's a talented guy, but it is what it is, you know. This is boxing. We've seen how many times have we seen fighters where if they actually applied themselves, they would have been a lot better than that what they were. We've seen that so many times in boxing. I think Tank's going to be another one of those guys. I really do. I really do. But what can we do? What can we do? Yeah, big up to Big Dan, by the way. I didn't see you, Big Dan. Big up to Big Dan. Hopefully you're doing well, mate. Hopefully you're doing well. Box, he says Joyce beats Dubois. I mean, I need to think about that fight. When it was first announced, I was always picking Dubois. I am still leaning towards Dubois, but right now I am kind of second guessing myself. I can't lie. I am kind of second guessing myself with who's going to win that fight. Oh yeah, AKS 99. Yeah, Lebedev Huck was a robbery. I felt Lebedev won that fight. Yeah, Huck had a couple of dodgy decisions. He had a dodgy decision against Ofalabi in one of their fights as well, and against Arslan. So yeah, Marco Huck had a few like weird decisions, which he didn't really deserve. But it is what it is. What can we say, man? Yep, overhand. I totally agree. I think the commentary in boxing in 2020 is god awful. It really is across the board. I mean, the last Showtime card after Paulie Malignaggi got sacked, I forget what it was. Who was it? It was the card with Rolly Romero on it. That card. I was watching that card, yeah. And Abner Mares, I like the guy, but he is not Paulie Malignaggi on commentary. The commentary was so much worse for Paulie not being on there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Jesus. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But yeah, man, I mean, all of these guys are company men, whether it's Sky Sports, ESPN, PBC, all of these guys toe the company line. I don't think anybody's as bad as Sky, I'll be honest, but all of these guys are basically the same. You know, they're not going to really be too overly critical of a home fighter or anything like that. But it's a shame because I feel it is what it is, man. I'm not going to get wound up about it. I'm not going to get wound up about it. What can we say, man? What can we say? Yeah, big up to Jim Hayes. Oh, sorry, Chris Hayes. What am I saying Jim Hayes for? Big up to Chris Hayes, man. Hopefully you're doing well, mate. AKS 99. He says bring back Jim Lampley. I'll be honest, AKS 99. Maybe I'm the only one. I never really liked Jim Lampley, to be honest. Something about that guy, yeah, just rubbed me up the wrong way. I didn't really like Jim Lampley. Something about that guy. I liked when it was HBO. I liked Larry Merchant, Emmanuel Stewart. You know, Max Kellerman before Max Kellerman became terrible. I liked those guys, but I was never really a fan of Jim Lampley, to be honest. Never really a fan. Yeah, D. I totally agree, mate. I mean, he's fighting Andre Parler next. So Filip Hrgović, 10-0 heavyweight prospect, Olympic medalist. one of the most highly touted prospects in the heavyweight division. He is fighting Andre Parler next. Andre Parler, for those who don't know, is a heavyweight. He's like 32-4 or something like that, but he's not fought in 6 years. His last fight was David Price. He lost that fight 6 years ago, 2014. That's who Hrgovic is fighting next. Completely unacceptable. I mean, I'm glad he's getting back active because apparently he's fighting soon after that as well. I'm glad he's active again, but at least fight somebody who's active. Fuck me. 6 years out of a ring. More than half a decade. That's poor, that is. That's really, really poor. Not good enough, man. Not good enough. Oh, yeah. Did you see Timothy Bradley when he was trying to say Ramirez's name? Yeah, that was bad. That's got to be CTE, you know. That has to be CTE. Because Ramirez isn't exactly a hard name to remember, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not like one of these Eastern European names like Melakuziev or, you know, Derevyanchenko or something like that. Ramirez is pretty bog standard in the States. So, yeah. Yeah, Tim had a moment there. Tim had a moment. No doubt. No doubt. Yo, big up to G-Man, by the way, for the super chat. Just seen that come through, man. He says, what do you think about Babic versus Allen? Who do you have? To be honest, G-Man, I would always kind of favour... I would favour Babic because at the end of the day, he's crude. Yeah, that's fair enough. He's a small heavyweight as well. But the guy trains. You know, the guy takes it seriously. He's in pretty good shape. He works quite hard from what I've seen. And yeah, I could see him beating Dave Allen maybe on points, maybe in like a 10-rounder on points. I'm not sure whether he would knock out Dave Allen because Dave Allen is pretty tough, to be fair to him. But yeah, I would back Alan Babic, to win that fight. I can't really back Dave Allen. I really can't. I'm a Dave Allen hater. I'm a certified Dave Allen hater on this channel. That's what this channel's about. You know, the number one Dave Allen hater channel. To be fair, though, I know I'm not the only one now, because I've been feeling this way a long time with Dave Allen. When he first come on the scene, yeah, he was kind of funny, you know, cool, he's a decent guy and all that. But at the end of the day, at some point, you need to actually apply yourself and actually try hard and show something. Dave Allen hasn't done that. I'm sick and tired of this guy being on pay-per-view cards. I know I'm not the only one. I know Unrivaled Boxing Talking News is the same. I know Boxing Beats and Rhymes is the same. You know, I'm just tired of this guy. I really am. If this guy wants to knuckle down and try hard, I'll back him. But until that happens, I ain't going to fucking give this guy the time of day. You know? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. You've got me onto Dave Allen, G-Man. You've got me onto Dave Allen. Jesus. You got me onto Dave Allen, man. He winds me up. Oh, shit, really, Overhand? The WBO are trying to cock-block Taylor Ramirez undisputed. Would you mind if Ramirez dropped it and fought Taylor? To be honest, Overhand, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. It's still the best fight in the division. I mean, if Catterall gets hold of that belt, Taylor can fight him after that, providing he beats Ramirez, which I think he will do. So, yeah, not ideal. But, you know, I wouldn't be mad if that happened. I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be like super mad or anything like that. I'll be honest with you guys. I know it's kind of blasphemy for boxing fans to say this. I'm kind of past this undisputed shit right now. I'm kind of past it. I really am. All it's for, yeah, is essentially it's for like paperwork. It's for like historical purposes to go down on your resume. But Ramirez having one belt or two belts doesn't alter what type of fighter he is. It doesn't change his quality. It's still the same fight. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, man. In an ideal world, undisputed. If not, it is what it is, man. I won't complain too hard. And I feel the same way about Joshua and Fury as well. I feel the same way. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Yeah, Max Kellerman. I thought Max Kellerman was okay for a point, and then he just turned. I mean, the story of a fight, his most famous commentary moment, in my opinion. What does that even mean, the story of a fight? Jesus Christ. Talk about who's landing punches, who's being more active, who's controlling the pace of a fight, who's the ring general. That's what I want to know. I don't want to know what the story of a fight is. What the fuck does that mean? Just nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Okay. Yeah, Minimax, I agree. Jerry Forrest would be a better opponent than Andre Parler. 100%. And Jerry Forrest isn't great. Yeah, Bryant Jennings. Bryant Jennings would be a great fight for Hrgovic. Bryant Jennings, he can look after himself. He's experienced. He's kind of slick. That's a good fight for him. That's a good fight. Oh, boxing brains. There's so many fucking rumours at Sky. What one are you talking about? There's so many. All of them are fucking rumours at Sky. Every single one of them. Oh yeah, Melakuziev, in my opinion, I think he's definitely one of the best prospects at 168. He is the best prospect at 168, in my opinion. Good body puncher, hits hard, creates angles for himself. He's got that sort of Eastern European, Central Asian style. Like guys like Akhmadaliev and people like that. He kind of fights in a similar way. He's not the biggest guy at 168, but he's got a good style, man. I will say that. Fast hands as well. He's a good fighter, man. He's good. I think he's good. But again, we won't know until he really steps up. So, boxing brains. Del, you throw jabs in the street fight. I just wanted to iron the guy out, but he ran off laugh out loud. Yeah, man, you got to throw a jab. Judge the range, find your distance, and follow through with a straight right. You got to find. Also, you've always got to find your range, boxing brains. Always. But yeah. If you look at street fights, all you need to do, is learn how to throw straight punches. If you see street fights on like World Star and shit like that, most people don't throw straight punches. They flail away, wide punches, like almost slaps. A quick 1-2 is going to knock those guys clean out, honestly. Bit of composure, that's all you need. Go to a boxing gym, for a month, and you would lay out most people in those street fight scenarios, genuinely. Because most of those people you see on like World Star can't fight, or like YouTube, like knockout compilations, like street fight compilations. Most of those guys can't fight. You can see it in how they hold themselves, how they throw punches. Most of them can't fight. Honestly, Dave Allen offends me. Box. I can't stand that dude. I cannot stand Dave Allen. I'm a hater though. I'm a Dave Allen hater. Yo, D, I'll take a guy who can't box over a fat fucking. I ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna be nasty, but yeah, I can't stand Dave Allen. Honestly, I cannot stand Dave Allen. Just winds me up now. Really does wind me up. Oh, I outboxed Anthony Joshua in the gym. That's what Dave Allen said. I mean, who believes that? Not his own mother, his own dad, his own mother doesn't believe that shit. Come on now. I'm a great boxer. I just don't show it in the ring. Well, train hard and show me. Don't keep on telling me how good you are and continuously you turn up out of shape, getting fucking smacked about the ring like a cheap whore. Come on now, Dave. Honestly, I'm just tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. I really am. It's not about the lack of talent. It's not about the lack of talent with Dave Allen. That's not what it is. It's the lack of application. I like guys in boxing who don't have like a high level of talent. Gabe Rosado is he's the perfect example. Yeah, he's not the best fighter in the world, but he always shows up in shape and he'll always bring it. I'll always watch him fight. No problem with someone like Gabe Rosado getting opportunities. No problem at all. But Dave Allen, a guy who doesn't train, come on now. The guy's been on like 8 pay-per-views. I mean, what's all that about? Dave Allen on 8 pay-per-views, 7, 8 pay-per-views. Jesus, crazy. It really is crazy. Yeah, big up to Jazz, man. Nice of you to drop by. Thank you for the contribution. Big up to Jazz, man. Nice of you to smash that super chat out, man. Big up to Jazz. Big up, man. Big up. Yeah, I would have done some more post-fight reviews this weekend, but we was otherwise engaged. I was out on Saturday night and what was I doing? Yeah, I was out with a mate his girlfriend just fucking like passed her university degree and all that shit. So we was out kind of celebrating, and I ended up like fucking up till like 6 a.m. smoking an ungodly amount of weed with some random bud I met. One of my mate's girlfriend's friends, and she just came with like a massive fucking bag of weed. So yeah, I just got fucking blitzed on Saturday night. So yeah, I need to catch up on a lot of fights. So what can we do, man? What can we do? But yeah, man, she was alright. She gave me some like fucking loads of free weed. So what can I say? You can't fucking argue with that, can you? Do you know what I mean? You can't argue. Yeah, I agree, Box. Babic isn't going to conquer the division by any means, but he's going to be entertaining, win, lose, or draw. Yeah, 100%, Mr. Doc. I totally agree. He's one of those fighters where you're going to follow his career. You're not really expecting much, but you're going to get a few good fights along the way with Babic. I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, and that's fine. That is totally fine. What I like though, he does apply himself. He trains hard. He's aggressive. Hits fairly hard. He's gonna be in some fun fights, Babic, at a lower level, in my opinion. But yeah, I agree. I agree, man. But yeah, big up to Jazz, for that super chat. Big up to Jazz. Much appreciated. Nah, D, see, me personally, yeah. Doesn't watching somebody like Wilder and Angulo offend you? It's offensive when boxers can't box. I mean, I always got a lot of stick with Wilder, yeah. Wilder's a weird one for me. I always used to like Deontay Wilder as a person. I followed this guy's career since like basically hardcore. I followed his career since like maybe 2012, and when he first come on the scene, I really liked him as a person. He kind of drifted off from that, but as a fighter, I always enjoyed watching him fight, just based on the fact he could knock anybody out. I do find Wilder entertaining. I've got a lot of problems with him and how he's managed his career. Don't get me wrong, but I enjoy watching Wilder. I really do. Even now, I mean, if Wilder fought tomorrow, I would watch, kind of thing. So I do like Wilder in a sense. I do. It's funny as well because before the whole Wilder Fury Joshua shit, if you asked me who's my favorite heavyweight, I would have said Wilder. But the whole excuses shit from the Fury second fight, that's what really kind of put me off Wilder, to be honest with you. I never liked any of these guys to a major extent, I've got to be honest. But yeah, I preferred Wilder to the other two, I'll be honest. Maybe it's because I met the dude. I've met Deontay Wilder in Sheffield when he fought Audley Harrison on the Khan Diaz undercard, and I met him in Sheffield, and genuinely he was like one of the nicest boxers I've ever met. So I think Deontay Wilder's one of those guys who's just had his head turned, to be honest. I really do. I thought that for a long time. But, he makes those decisions. It's down to him, isn't it? It's down to him. Yeah, Justin, he's not having it. He's saying, fuck Wilder. I thought somebody might say that, But yeah, man, listen, man, I think Wilder... Listen, I know it sounds proper like hippie shit, but I'm a person, yeah. When you can look at somebody and you can be around somebody and you can tell what sort of energy they kind of put out into the universe. I don't think Deontay Wilder's a bad guy at heart. I really don't. I think he's just been misled by a lot of fucking people in his circle, and yeah, he's just been misled, in my opinion. Again, I could be totally wrong. Just my opinion. It's based on absolutely nothing. Just my impression, I guess. But there we go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Wilder could still knock out Joshua. Box in a head-to-head fight. I mean, Joshua could get to him as well, but somebody's definitely getting knocked out in that fight. Joshua's more well-rounded. He's got power in both hands. He's got better combinations. He's got better balance. He's a better boxer all around. But Joshua makes mistakes. He's not no defensive wizard. He gets hit a fair bit. If he takes one of those straight right hands flush, he could get knocked clean out. Let's not kid ourselves. He could. But, I would favour Joshua now to beat Wilder. I would favour him. But not a foregone conclusion, in my opinion. Not a foregone conclusion at all. Wilder could land that one perfect shot. Could be lights out. It could be lights out. If Andy Ruiz can hurt and drop and stop Joshua, Wilder can knock him clean out, in my opinion. Even now. Even now. Oh, Big Dan, he's saying he would pick Wilder to beat Joshua. It could happen, man. It could happen. Just because Fury smashed him up, it doesn't necessarily mean he loses to Joshua. You know, styles make fights. Styles make fights. I mean, George Foreman destroyed Joe Frazier. Ali obviously toyed with George Foreman, and Frazier beat Muhammad Ali in one fight. So triangle theories don't work. Wilder could easily knock out Joshua. I think he's got a better chance of beating Joshua than Fury. I'll say that. I think that much is obvious. Justin's not having it. He's saying, fuck PBC, fuck ESPN, fuck Fury, fuck Usyk. AJ's carrying Watford on his back. He doesn't really rep Watford like that, though, AJ. He doesn't really rep Watford. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Copendo9. Like Dillian said, what bad man, come from Hertfordshire? Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. Exactly. I know Stevenage is a bit rough, but in comparison to like other places in the UK, it's kind of a cakewalk, to be honest. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. These guys at the end of the day need to fight each other, you know? Fury's fought Wilder. We need to see Wilder fucking Fury. Sorry, Joshua Fury now. That's what we want to see. All we want to see is these guys fight each other. We want to see who's the best. And we'll see soon. Hopefully we'll see soon anyway. True, D. Wilder doesn't have great boxing ability, but I mean, he got near Luis Ortiz. I hate to be that guy because with Luis Ortiz, yeah, I feel like it's one or the other with Luis Ortiz. There's some people who call this guy the boogeyman, one of the best heavyweights of the last 10 years, blah, blah, blah. Some people completely overrate Luis Ortiz, but some people completely shit on this guy like he's a bum. He's not a bum. He can box. And both times, Wilder, he found a way to get that right hand off. Ortiz was controlling range in both fights. Eventually, Wilder found a way to get that right hand off. So, listen, if Wilder lands on anybody, he can knock anybody out. I still think that right now. I really do. That's what I'm saying with Fury. Fury's talking all this shit. He needs to be careful about Wilder again. I'm telling you, you can't fucking look past Wilder. One mistake, you could lose a fight. So Fury needs to be quiet about White, about Joshua. He needs to concentrate on Wilder 3. That's what he needs to concentrate on, in my opinion. But what do I know, man? What do I know? What the fuck do I know, man? Yes, sir, Justin. Yes, sir. There we go. Get me on Sky Sports. Get me on Sky Sports or BT or ESPN. Let me commentate with Tim Bradley. I like Tim Bradley, as a person. So I'd like to commentate with Tim Bradley. Get me on ESPN. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Same Brit Sports going there. Look at that shit. Oh, dear, man. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. What can we say, man? What can we say? But yeah, man. Yeah, that's true, D. Ortiz is slow, especially with his feet. He is slow on his feet. But, I still rate him as a top 10 dude. When Wilder fought him, at least. He was a top 10 guy. So that was a good win. I mean, Joshua makes mistakes is my point. Joshua has lulls in fights where he doesn't do much. He kind of gasses, he gets hurt. Wilder could land a perfect shot. He could land a perfect shot. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Again, I think Joshua is a superior fighter. But in boxing, the superior fighter doesn't always win. Shit happens. It's the heavyweight division, Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Which is why, do you know my dream scenario? My dream scenario is for Fury to beat Wilder again, Povetkin to beat White again, and hear me out. Then we have Wilder versus White, loser leaves town. That'd be fucking amazing. That'd be my dream scenario because I still really want to see White versus Wilder. I really do. I mean, Dillian White is mad at Wilder. You know, he's saying it's about the title. It wasn't about the title, lads. White's beef with Wilder was not about the title. White's beef with Wilder was the fact that Wilder piped his girl. That's the fact. That's why White was mad with Wilder. That's why. So let's get this fight on. White Wilder. If Wilder loses his next fight and White loses his next fight, White versus Wilder, loser leaves town, count me in. See, I should be a fucking matchmaker. That shit would sell. That shit would sell. Can you imagine? That'd be amazing. Yeah, check out St. Brit Sports TV, man. Or St. Brit Sports, sorry. Justin Martial, he says, AJ had the best heavyweight resume in the division. He's got, listen, I'll put it this way. He's got the resume with the most numbers on it. He's got more top 10 wins. He's got more quantity. Does he have the quality? That's the question. I mean, I don't think anybody can dispute that Fury has the two best singular wins out of any active heavyweight right now. Vladimir in Germany, 10-year unbeaten Vladimir in Germany, and Wilder unbeaten. In terms of quality, it's Fury. In terms of quantity, it's AJ. What that means is there's not much between it. These guys need to fight. These guys need to fight. That's what I was saying for the longest. Everyone was talking about mandatories and all this shit. I was saying these guys need to fight regardless of that shit. If it's not all of the belts, it's not all of the belts. I don't really care right now. It's the biggest fight in UK boxing history. Whether it's got 4 belts, 3 belts, or 2 belts, it's the biggest fight in UK boxing history. Needs to happen ASAP. Simple as that. That's all I'm saying. I've been the same on that since day dot. I don't care if Joshua vacates the WBO. I don't care if fucking Fury vacates the WBC. I want to see the fight. Whether that happens or not, public perception still sees these guys as number 1 and number 2, regardless of who vacates what. Simple as that. Simple as that. Exactly, D. D, exactly, bro. Coronation Street drama with White and Wilder. That is what I want, D. That is what I want. White, Wilder, the press conferences, that's going to be lit, man. Can you imagine those two guys going at it? Careers on... Picture this, yeah? Careers on the line. White's mad at Wilder for piping his girl. Everything is on the line. Both guys are fucking defensively flawed. Both guys can punch. That is a fucking great fight. That's a great fight, man. White, Wilder. Come on. Let's have it. Let's have it, man. That'd be amazing, bruv. That'd be fucking great. Can you imagine? I love it. I wish that could happen, you know. I wish that could happen. That'd be amazing. That'd be so good, man. Justin Martial, if I was a matchmaker, I would be matching Crawford, Spence, Fury, AJ, Canelo, Callum Smith, Hrgovic, Jalolov. Yeah, all good fights, man. All good fights. I like all of those fights, to be honest with you. Hopefully we get some of them. But obviously, coronavirus, all this shit, you know, we're going to be missing out on certain fights. But yeah, it is what it is, man. Yo, smash the like, by the way, lads. Be much appreciated. Smash that like. Smash that like. I'll probably wrap this one up about 9 o'clock, by the way. Maybe 10, 20 minutes, maybe a bit after 9. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. Oh, yeah, Povetkin's resume is underrated. Chisora, AJ, White. Yeah, they've all got good resumes, to be fair. With Fury, the thing is with Fury, his good wins are quality, but I mean, it's just not enough. There's not enough depth there with Fury. There's not enough quantity with Fury. That's the only thing. He needs a couple of more names, in my opinion. A couple of more names. Having said that, though, let's be honest, yeah. Dillian White, he does get a lot of credit for beating Chisora. Tyson Fury did beat him twice in better fashion. So does Fury deserve credit for Chisora? I don't know, man. It does seem like White gets more credit for that fight than Fury did. So, but regardless, the point still remains. Fury needs to like build up a resume a bit more, in my opinion. Still needs to build it up a bit more. Oh, D, I was just that's what Deontay Wilder said. I'm taking Deontay Wilder's word as gospel, mate. I'm taking Deontay's word as gospel. He's probably lying, but shit. Oh, Andre, I don't call you crazy at all. I would agree with you, Andre. If you're crazy, I'd be crazy because I agree. I think Regis Prograis would have beaten Ramirez. I've said that for a while actually. I think Prograis is the second best fighter in that division. Taylor being number one, Prograis being number two, Ramirez being number three. I think Prograis is very good. I think Prograis is a special fighter. I know that sounds really fucking over the top, but I rate Prograis very highly. I think he's an extremely good fighter, excellent jab, great head movement. He can work in the pocket. He's got power. He can fight coming forwards. He can fight going backwards. He can counter. Prograis is a well-rounded fighter. He's versatile. He's a great fucking fighter. He really is a great fighter. And let's be honest, that Taylor fight was very close. It was very close. If somebody said to me Prograis won by a point, I wouldn't call them crazy at all. I really wouldn't. I mean, my dream scenario actually would be, Taylor beats Ramirez and then we get that rematch because that fight was amazing. It really was. It was amazing. Amazing fight. Okay, 1 second, lads. Here we go. Let's move that there. Yeah, I saw that, LT. Yeah, Hrgović is fighting Andre Parla, been retired for 6 years. Let that sink in. 6 years. He's been retired for 6 years, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Nah, Andre, nah, not really, to be honest, mate. I still feel the same way. What I was saying earlier is, Postal is a completely different style to Taylor. I think Ramirez he's always going to struggle with boxers, guys who can keep range or counterpunch. We saw that against Postal. We saw that against Zepeda. He's always going to struggle with those sort of technical guys. Taylor, he's a guy who can get technical, but he likes a war. I think Ramirez is more suited to that style, as they would say. So, yeah, it doesn't really change my viewpoint. I've always had Taylor as a favourite, but I've always said it'll be a very tough fight. I still feel the same way. I would say Taylor, a very tough points win. I still feel the same way, to be honest, Andre. I still feel the same. Good fight still, though. Very good fight. Very good fight. Yeah, LT. That's the only fight that really makes sense now at 140. Has to happen next. Has to happen next. I agree, LT as well. Taylor on points. Yeah, Nathan, I agree. So yeah, not really. Taylor won't box like Postal. Different fighter. I'd fave Taylor by close decision, but it's a damn good fight. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think Ramirez would give Taylor a lot of problems up close. I really do. He'll have his moments. He'll land some good shots. He'll win rounds. But yeah, I think Taylor's a sharper fighter. He's a bigger fighter. And yeah, I think he's just slightly better, to be honest. Well, he's a fair bit better in my opinion. So yeah, I've got Taylor winning. Good fight though, still. 4-7. He doesn't see Ramirez troubling Taylor. Damn. I mean, I don't know, 4-7, man. I don't know. I think Taylor's style is more suited to Ramirez. Taylor likes to scrap too much. If Taylor remained composed and actually boxed, maybe I could see your point. I really could. But Taylor, man, he loves a scrap. He really does. And against Ramirez, that's gonna play right into his hands. So I'm not sure. I'm picking Taylor. Don't get me wrong, but don't know, man. Don't know, man. I'm not sure. Yeah, Ben Davison factor. How is that going to play into the scenario? I'm not very convinced by Ben Davison. I have to say, D. I'm not very convinced. I'm not going to write him off, but I'm not convinced. So we need to see what Josh Taylor looks like in his next fight first and foremost. See what sort of changes there are with Ben Davison, if there are any. So that's another thing right there. The trainer, Ben Davison. Aaron Dingle. That's the joke's name, Fuck's sake. He says, what do you make of the trivia quizzes Unrivaled be doing? Are you going to do it? Yeah, I'll do it at some point. I will do it at some point. But yeah, I like the questions. Some of them are very fucking hard. Some of them I get, one of those things, man. But yeah, it's a really good quiz. Really well-rounded, different eras, different sort of, weight classes. It's really well-rounded, to be fair. Yeah, Aaron Dingle versus Jim McDonald. Let's get it. Shit's sake, man. Fuck's sake, man. Anyway, lads, I'm going to wrap this one up, We've got a relatively early start tomorrow, so what my plan is, we're going to roll a blunt and finish this tonight and go to bed. So, yeah, man. Yeah. Nice of you guys to drop by. Thank you for everybody who showed up. Smash the like on your way out. Be much appreciated. Always goes down well. Helps with the algorithm and all of that shit. The fucking nerds at Silicon Valley, they like all of that shit. So, yeah, smash the like. Much appreciated. Thank you guys very much. Peace.